Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy. And in today's video, we're going to be talking about some risky running backs for fantasy football in 2021, and whether you should be looking to draft them, or if you should be looking to kind of fade on them this season, and look elsewhere at the running back position around the range where they are going in 2021 NFL drafts. Now, obviously, this video is coming out in May. We are a couple of months away from August and early September when people are doing their 2021 fantasy football draft, so the ADP may change of these players, or injuries could happen around them to where you have a much clearer idea on if they are going to be risky or not, and whether you want to take that risk or not. So if you guys want to get more content in the future and you are new, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. Not only is it free, I put out content every single day to help you guys win your 2021 fantasy football championship. I apologize to the people who normally assume that I upload earlier in the day. I uploaded much later today due to the fact that I got the COVID vaccine yesterday and it knocked me out. Tyrod Taylor getting knocked out from the fucking doctor type of deal here. It was just no bueno last night, this morning. I was pretty sick, but now, Jordan flu game, I'm back and I'm ready to go. So I do apologize to any of you guys who look forward to my videos in the morning. It means a lot to me that people even say that happens. So let's get into it. The first risky running back that I want to be talking about today is running back Josh Jacobs of the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, going into the 2021 offseason, I felt like Josh Jacobs had a very well-defined role in this Las Vegas offense. Now, while he wasn't necessarily going to be catching 7 million passes, like I honestly thought he would in 2021 because in 2020, like John Gruden said, and then he ended up not getting the amount of targets that Gruden said he would, but he was still pretty solid in fantasy, finishing as a top 8 running back in all categories, number 8 in PPR, 8.5 PPR, and running back number 8 in standard, averaging 15.4 PPR points per game, 14.3 half PPR points per game, and 13.2 standard points per game, playing in a total of 15 games last season. From points per game perspective, he was running back 15 in PPR, 13.5 PPR, and running back number 11 in standard. So when he was healthy, the guy was putting up some pretty solid numbers. Now, what's the difference between Josh Jacobs in 2020 and 2021 is pretty big, in my opinion, is the fact that the Las Vegas Raiders and John Gruden ended up adding running back Kenyon Drake, formerly of the Arizona Cardinals, formerly of the Miami Dolphins. Now, I understand that, in my opinion, Kenyon Drake is not as good as Josh Jacobs, but when you have a running back last year in Kenyon Drake, who had 239 rushes, rushed for 955 rushing yards, scored 10 total touchdowns, as well as putting up 137 yards through the receiving game, it seems like Kenyon Drake is going to be some legitimate competition for Josh Jacobs. Now, does that mean I think Josh Jacobs is going to be irrelevant in fantasy? No, but at the point where he's going based upon current underdog ADP at 41.3, I am not someone who would be willing to take the risk on Josh Jacobs. Last year, this guy had a grand total of 273 carries, third highest at the running back position, a grand total of 1,064 rushing yards, 8th highest at the running back position, with 45 targets, 24th highest, and 33 receptions, 24th highest at running back, and 12 total tugs, 4th highest at the running back position. So it's very clear that last season, Josh Jacobs was super involved in this Las Vegas Raiders offense, and whether you want to think that the Raiders offense is good or not doesn't really kind of change my opinion on Josh Jacobs. They also got rid of the offensive line. They dismantled it like the establishment in SpongeBob, and now this offensive line is not as good as it was in 2020, and now Josh Jacobs has much more competition. So, overall, I kind of feel like Josh Jacobs is going to be a guy that I am looking to fade in a majority of my drafts. I frankly just do not believe that with the addition of Kenyon Drake, that will do nothing to him. And if he ends up being like a third-round pick, because Josh Jacobs doesn't necessarily have the name value of a guy like Saquon Barkley, but a lot of fantasy football players aren't the ones like you doing all this research, watching my videos, watching other people's videos, doing your own research. A lot of people don't do that. They're just drafting based off of name value, and in my opinion, Josh Jacobs, over the last 2 years he's been in the NFL, has made enough name value where people are still going to be willing to draft him, because a lot of people hate Kenyon Drake. They hate Kenyon Drake. They drafted him highly last year, and he didn't perform all that well. Now, I also really liked Kenyon Drake last year, and he didn't perform that well for fantasy, but he still put up like 900 yards, 10 plus touchdowns. So you got to understand that Kenyon Drake will be involved here with John Gruden. Now, I did read reports that Kenyon Drake is going to be going out wide a lot as well, looking to be one of their wide receivers. So if we're seeing in preseason that Kenyon Drake isn't really as influential on Josh Jacobs' carry total in 2021, then I'll be here saying, you know what, I was fucking wrong in May when I said to fade Josh Jacobs. I think he's going to be fine, but I personally think that by the time we're seeing preseason games in August, that Josh Jacobs won't be as involved as we think he could have been if Kenyon Drake was not there, because if Kenyon Drake wasn't there, I'd be slamming the fucking table, telling you guys right now, you got to draft Josh Jacobs in the first or second round. He's going to be great, but now with Drake, that is obviously not a situation that I am looking to heavily invest into in 2021. Now, interesting enough, if you look at the snap counts for the Las Vegas Raiders offense, Josh Jacobs really heavily dominated in 2021 or 2020, getting 56.93% of the team snaps. The next highest was Jalen Richard with 17.56. Devontae Booker actually was second with 22% of the team snaps, and then Theo Riddick had 4.44. So even if Josh Jacobs is still getting around 50%, which I think could potentially be around that mark, I'm just not too sure with a running back with legitimate skill set behind Josh Jacobs that he will be all that involved to potentially finish inside of the top 15 running backs that you are drafting him as based upon his current ADP right now inside of the first couple of rounds of your drafts. Now, maybe you are not with me on this take and you think Josh Jacobs will still be fine. You think there'll be enough touches for him. Let me know down below what you guys think about Josh Jacobs. Next guy to talk about here is running back DAndre Swift of the Detroit Lions. Underdog ADP 23.9, so he's going significantly higher than Josh Jacobs. Running back of the Detroit Lions. Now, while the Lions ended up switching Matthew Stafford for Jared Goff and a bunch of picks, they ended up drafting Penei Sewell, which should help out DAndre Swift, but they added Jamal Williams, and in my opinion, at this point in Jamal Williams' career, compared to the other guys that were getting touches on the Detroit Lions offense last season, I think that Jamal Williams is significantly better than those people. DAndre Swift last year, the running backs around him, Kerryon Johnson, Adrian Peterson, and Jonathan Williams. Last year, DAndre Swift obviously eventually took a stranglehold of that backfield deeper down into the season, but overall, DAndre Swift had 38% of the team snaps, Mr. Kerryon Johnson 28%, and Adrian Peterson close to 30% with 29.99, and Jonathan Williams barely got any, 2.58. So what does this mean now with Jamal Williams? Should you be fading DAndre Swift because of Jamal Williams or not? So last season, DAndre Swift in 13 games finished as running back 18 in PPR, 18 half PPR, and running back number 20 in standard, averaging 14.6 PPR points per game, 12.8 half PPR points per game, and 11.1 standard points per game, meaning from a points per game perspective, he was running back 18 in PPR, 20 in half PPR, and running back 22 in standard, tied with about 6,000 other running backs. So again, the team is a lot different, but I just feel that DAndre Swift will still be fine. Now, I understand there is a variety of reasons to not want to be drafting DAndre Swift. For one, you don't want to be a running back on a team that sucks complete ass at moving up the field, and I think they are going to struggle with scoring in 2021. Name a receiver for the Lions. Exactly. Now name a running back. You have DAndre Swift and you have TJ Hawkinson, the two main targets. So that's the reason why I'm thinking that Swift will be fine, because coming out of college, he was looked at as a very solid pass-catching running back, and he did do that at the NFL level. Now, he was not necessarily given the immense amount of opportunity in the target share department because Kerryon and Adrian Peterson were so involved early on in DAndre Swift's tenure as a rookie running back, obviously, in Detroit. But I think a lot has changed now. Jamal Williams and DAndre Swift, the 1-2 punch. I think Swift still has a lot of value. 57 targets last season for the man DAndre Swift. 46 receptions, and a grand total of 357 receiving yards. He also tacked on 114 carries, 40th at the running back position, so he wasn't getting a lot of carries. Still finished as a top 25 running back. 521 rushing yards, and 10 total touchdowns, 10th highest at the running back position. So if you try to think about it from this fact, that maybe even if the Lions suck complete ass like I think they could with Jared Goff, DAndre Swift is still going to get the ball dumped off to him. You ought to know why? Because Jared Goff likes to dump off the ball. We've seen it with Cam Akers. We've seen it with Todd Gurley, we've seen it with Darrell Henderson. So he's clearly a guy that is comfortable dumping the ball off, which is going to be good for DAndre Swift. So even if this offense is looking deflated like a football in New England, I still think DAndre Swift's going to be able to eat it up in 2021. And final running back, a guy that I jabbed heavily on Twitter today, Miles Sanders, running back of the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, Miles Sanders is a guy that, in my opinion, is pretty talented, and I feel like is going to just always be talked up at this point because of the offense he's in. He was heavily talked up last season, even with a limp dick offense, and now with Jalen Hurts hopefully come into form, that maybe this offense is going to be rock hard Viagra style in 2021. His underdog ADP is 30.4. Now, Miles Sanders last year only played in 12 games and finished as running back 23 in PPR, 23 and half PPR, and running back 21 in standard, averaging 14.2 PPR points per game, 13 half PPR points per game, and 11.9 standard points per game, meaning from a points per game perspective, he was running back 20 in PPR, 19 half PPR, and running back 16 in standard, tied with Antonio Gibson. So I feel as though Miles Sanders is in a situation where he can finally flourish, but the question is he actually going to be as good as people think? Now, I don't think that Miles Sanders is going to finish as a top 10 running back or even a top 12 running back, and based upon where he's going, you're hoping that he has that upside. In my opinion, I don't think he will, because I think the Eagles are going to be bad, but I think that the offense with Jalen Hurts could be better for Miles Sanders, because frankly, with Carson Wentz under center, this offense was not able to move the ball at all. And the offensive line sucked. The offensive line's slightly better, but maybe they'll be able to move the ball a little bit more with Jalen Hurts. Mr. Miles Sanders last season had 164 carries, a grand total of 871 rushing yards, finishing 14th at the running back position, 52 targets for 28 receptions and 197 receiving yards, and 6 total touchdowns. So my opinion on Miles Sanders is that this pick 100% is based upon your thoughts of the Philadelphia Eagles. Do you think the Eagles defense is going to suck? They're going to have to pass later in games, then maybe Miles Sanders won't be as good. But if you think that the Eagles are going to potentially return to form from a couple years ago, now it's a different head coach, it's really different everything there, then maybe Miles Sanders will be pretty good. So I'm not going to tell you not to draft Miles Sanders, but what I'm telling you is to be a little bit cautious when you want to draft him. I think that he's the clear running back one on this team now, which is very good, but I'm not too sure I'm sold into the situation in Philadelphia. So let me know again down below what you guys think about Miles Sanders, Josh Jacobs, and DAndre Swift. Do you agree with me on these guys, or are you kind of the opposite? You maybe think that the complete opposite of what I've said, and that's okay as well. If you guys disagree with me, I'd love to talk to you guys down below in the comments. Hopefully you guys had a great time. I now have a raging headache from that COVID vaccine because I was just talking for like 13 minutes straight, but it's a-okay. It's okay, because we had a great time today. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you beautiful bastards tomorrow, hopefully with another banger of a video. I hope your guys' weekend is going well. Have a nice dinner, because dinner is coming up soon. I love you guys all. Make sure to stay safe, as always. Goodbye!